This topic is something that I have personally used to get hired at companies like Banner Health or Quest Diagnostics joint venture. And then also when I was looking for a role in 2016 here in Denver, I used it to land my position as a senior manager of talent acquisition at Lockheed Martin. So I wanted to be able to provide all of you. Can you see this okay? Present a meeting here. Okay, hold on a minute. Boom. Is that better? Can you guys see that? Okay. Wonderful. All right, perfect. For those of you who do not know me, I was Senior Talent Acquisition Manager at Lockheed Martin. And in 2019, I left the position as Director of Talent for Comcast Technologies because I felt like I was hitting a wall. And it wasn't like that glass ceiling wall because there were many opportunities for me to advance. It was more of an existential wall where I felt like I didn't want to continue on that corporate treadmill and really work for someone else. So I decided to start my own business, Best You Career Advantage, in October of 2019. And we started Colorado Career Connectors in February of 2021. And we've done this because at one point, unemployment was at 14.4%. I will tell you, the market is absolutely booming now, and lots of opportunities are out there. So I am CEO of Best You Career Advantage. I am a positive intelligence certified coach, which just means we want to get you in the right mindset to go out and look for that job or ask for that promotion. And I'm also an Anita B coach, which means I'm a premier coach for women in technology and have absolutely loved being able to bring that experience to others. So Yvette, if you can let folks in, that would be awesome. I wanted to let you know, for those of you here in Denver, the Business Journal, the Denver Business Journal, is having the 2021 Best Places to Work this week, and you can go to that. This is a really good opportunity for you to watch these awards, understand what makes a best place to work, understand what is in the culture, what those companies are doing. So I just thought I would bring this to your attention that on this Thursday, the 24th, from 1 to 2 p.m., those Best Place Awards are going to be given. I also wanted to let my finance folks know that there's a free webinar that the Business Journal is putting on this week. Lisa, I thought of you when I saw this, the rising importance of today's CFOs, what it takes to be a rockstar CFO. Now, why would I put this in there? If you're interviewing with anyone in finance or at the high level, you want to be able to understand their language. This might be a really good opportunity for you to go to a free webinar put on by the Business Journal to be able to speak that language in a more succinct way. I'm thinking about overall business acumen for you, so that's why I brought this up. I also wanted to let you know of another free network and community called Career Network Ministries. It is out of Virginia, but they offer up to 16 free webinars this week. And I'm actually speaking on Thursday about mental fitness and positive intelligence in a career search. If you go out on Meetup and look at them, you can learn everything from new thinking, new possibilities. There's career coaching tables. So I'm bringing these things to your attention because there's so many opportunities for you to connect with other job seekers, not just here in Colorado, but around the country. Okay, so today's topic is a power session on the skill matrix. And as I was looking up different information on the skill matrix, the Gallup is a survey and a company that is highly used in the HR field. And they have stated that employees do their best in roles that enable them to integrate their talents, which is your natural capacity for excellence, your skills, and knowledge, what you know. So if any of you may have been on the Colorado Career Connector that had Meredith Massey on it, she talked about the what, where, and when of your career. And I know that that methodology specifically has helped at least 3 of my clients. So today we're going to talk about another way that's very tactical to help with your value proposition to make you the candidate of choice, but to also help you really think about how your skills, your natural talents, and your knowledge align with the job description that you are going toward. So some of you might be asking, what is a skill matrix? A skill matrix is something that actually talent development and organizational development professionals in companies use to assess the skills of different teams, different projects, different areas, so that when they use it in alignment with succession plans and to see when and where people might be able to go to work on different projects, programs, processes, etc. In the talent acquisition world, a skill matrix might be used, or in your job search or a promotional opportunity. This is where you can help the recruiter or the hiring leader identify, again, what skills, your natural talents, your knowledge, your related experience, and your qualifications you have that match the position. It's that simple. So my hope is that throughout all of the sessions that we've had through Colorado Career Connectors, that you've heard some really good nuggets about how to prepare for interviews, how to really align your resume to the job description, so that your resume is at a higher level to make you an ACE candidate within the applicant tracking system. This is at the point where your resume has been accepted, you've gotten a call for the interview, you probably made it through the first, even second interview, and you're now interviewing with like 3 or 4 more people. This is where you can, really any point at the interview process, this is where you can take in your skill matrix and visually show them, through words, show them exactly how you meet their pain points and their growth points. And for those of you that have worked with me or been in many of my sessions, I'm always talking about, you have to be able to speak about, write about, demonstrate, and have a consistent, positive message that you are the solution to the pain points or the growth points. So let's figure out, why would you use a skill matrix? When you list out the skills and the competencies that you have, the managers, the recruiters, the team members, the panelists, they can clearly see what skills you have to offer and how it solves the pain points and then those growth points of the team. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about pain and growth points and you'd like to stay a little bit after, I'm happy to go through some of that methodology with you. But your role in looking for a new job or being the one that is promoted for career advancement is to show how you can be the answer to the solution. You are the solution to the problem, that type of thing. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Okay, we've got 19 of you. That's awesome. Okay, the skill matrix can outline the expectations for success. It also shows your understanding of the position and how your knowledge, your skills, your background, your qualifications indicate that you are the candidate of choice. It also demonstrates how your, sorry, I need to admit someone, there we go. Demonstrate your level of competency to a specific need. So we're going to talk about specifically, and I'm going to show you examples of a skill matrix. And then I'd like to challenge you, while I'm talking, I want each of you to pull up a job description of a job you're either interviewing for this week or of a job that, like, your #1 company. Pull that up. I'm going to take a minute just to do that. So I want each of you to pull that up. And at the same time, I'd like to ask that you have a copy of your resume alongside of that. So let's just take a minute to pull up the job description of choice and then your resume. And then we're going to actually do some of this together. Yvette, how are we doing in the chat?
Great. So actually, Lisa had a really interesting question.
Yeah.
What if you see a pain point that management does not see or recognize?
Oh, I love that. Okay, Marva, thank you for that. If you see a pain point or a growth point that management does not recognize, think about what a value that would be to them. And since we're talking about skill matrix, I'll talk about how to interweave that, Lisa, if you would give me just a moment, okay? And then we'll talk about that at the end as well. Hold me to that. I see some really good, is anyone interested in the HR role? Aramark, thank you, Lisa. That's awesome. Okay, Becky, thank you. Alan, thank you. We've had the same webinar before, actually pursuing for certification. Awesome. No need for you to respond. Okay, awesome. I'm getting some good news in chat, everybody. So congratulations to all of you that are getting into different interviews, etc. Okay, do all of you have your resume and a job description next to you? Yvette, are you seeing thumbs up? I can't see you guys. Can you guys see me okay? I'm going to stop the share for a minute. Sorry. So you're there. Okay, I didn't hear anyone. So if you have your job description and your resume next to you, let's get started in what this will look like. Okay. Thank you, Becky. I just couldn't see everyone. Let me get back to my screen. Okay. A skill matrix is part of your overall branding and your communication strategy. And I recently launched a new 13-page framework for looking at the job search. And it really starts with that vision and then mindset. And then this is the piece where it goes into your strategy and the tactics. This will help to amplify how you are viewed, how your brand is viewed, and will really allow you to be a candidate of choice. So if there are any questions throughout this, put them in the chat, or we will actually come back as well as a group. Okay, the skill matrix as a strategy. This is where, if you are in marketing and you want a position working in Northern California with a outdoor company, this is where you are going to use all of those things that make you stand out. If you are in finance and you want to get into a different company, this is what you are going to use. If you're in HR, whatever department or function you're in, this is where you are going to use all of those metrics, those accomplishments that are in the STAR format. It's really part of your interview strategy that it's coming up with stories. So how do you create a skills matrix? When you have your resume and the job description, I want you to start a Word format or Google Doc, whatever, in landscape mode. And at the top of that, I want you to put your contact information, how they can reach you on any of the correspondence that you send out or anything you provide. You always want to make sure that you have the name, email address, LinkedIn page, and phone number. And then if there is a mission for the company or even a mission for the department, I want you to put that at the top of your skills matrix so that you are speaking the language of the company or the division or the department that you're going to. And then, so it'll be like vision, values, mission. And then I want you, and I'm going to show you this in a moment, but it's really important that you put that vision or mission at the top so that that resonates and has a higher level of impact to the reader, so they know exactly, wow, she's really looked at this. She's putting this, or he is putting this, or they are putting this in a very professional manner. Okay, you want to determine the skills needed by the organization. Focus on those keywords. Just like we've talked about in resume writing before, when you have the job description and the resume next to each other, circle the keywords on the job description that jump out to you. Circle the technical keywords that jump out to you. Highlight those qualifications that you have done, that you exceed or excel at, and that you have a very strong metrics-driven accomplishment written for. Because what you're going to do is you're going to write specific bullet points aligning with your skills, talent, knowledge to the job description, and do a side-by-side comparison on that landscape. And let me show you in a moment what that looks like. Okay, this actually is the content that I used when I went to Lockheed Martin. And at the top of the landscape, it had my name, my contact information. It had the vision and the mission of Lockheed Martin Space. It had my own mission and how, like, what I was known for, what I was driven by. And then it had every single, so on that landscape, you can write position requirements, related experience and qualifications. You not only can use this in a skill matrix during the interview process, you can use this as part of your cover letter to get their attention. You can use this when you're negotiating a pay at a higher level, because this will help you communicate your worth, know your value, and speak your truth when you are negotiating for a position. Okay, so the senior leader of talent acquisition and operations, bachelor's degree in 10 years of experience. So right next to it, I'm like, they want a bachelor's, I have a master's. They want 10 years, I have 20. Now be careful with numbers because ageism is real. If it's 15 years, put 15 plus years, okay? I had 11 years of talent acquisition operations unit, and I got really specific. Business acumen. What kind of business acumen have you had? Strategic and futuristic thinking. So you want to provide very specific information on how you and what you have done. And it just doesn't have to be hard accomplishment based. For example, values-oriented team player with strong ethics, integrity, collaboration. Keyword, keyword, keyword. Okay. I hope this is making sense to everyone down here. And so I talked about metrics. Whatever metrics they're providing, they had a bullet point on process improvement. So I had a whole section on process improvement. They talked about global expertise. I had a whole section on global expertise. Mine overall was about 4 pages long, and I was the only candidate that did that. So I got excellent feedback from, he's now like the director of all workforce planning for Lockheed, that he not only understood how I met the needs of the job, but he understood my writing. He understood my thought process. He understood that I had listened to the problems of the business and then brought solutions through a written manner in order to do that. So that's what I want for you to do. Does it take time? Yeah, it absolutely takes time. Does it look like a lot of information that in this day and age with people that are so inundated would even read? If you're a top candidate, they're going to read it. They're going to look at it because they want to know how your skills complement their needs for not only the department, but they want to know how your background is bringing more inclusivity, diversity, and belonging, and how you might complement the holistic group of the department. Okay. Here's another job skill matrix. And I just went out on Google and I, Googled it. There's a lot of different ways that you can come at this. You can build your name. You can talk about your flexibility. What are the minimal qualifications? What are the additional skills? What is the hiring potential that you have? But I actually really like this skill matrix because people are so much more visual now. I did start with Lockheed in 2016, but I also used skill matrix to get on with Comcast, and it was more written. And I think now, as a executive career coach and strategist, that I would really love to see more visual out there. For example, business. You can align this with the skills and keywords in your own LinkedIn profile. So you're not just doing this for a company, you're actually leveraging this for what keywords do you not have on LinkedIn under skills and endorsements? How can you leverage this for a cover letter? How can you leverage this for negotiating a higher total compensation? And I can give you a story. One of my clients was working in a very well-known media company, and he is the head of digital marketing. He had worked there for 11 years, and he was networking a ton. The three companies that he was a finalist for, he took a visual skill matrix in. He got 2 offers in the same week for $15,000 more than he was making prior. And this skill matrix was what allowed him to get a $20,000+ increase in total compensation. So just think about that and that impact for you. How are we doing? Do we have any questions out there? Yvette?
Yes, I do have a question. Marva asked, while I can see the validity for interviews, it also seems quite helpful for resume writing. Does that make sense? And Michael also had a question about if when companies might start transitioning back to in-person interviews.
Awesome. Okay. So Marva, great question. Yes. What I'm trying to do in all of the webinars I'm giving in this power session is to show you that by taking the time to understand your keywords, how your resume aligns with job descriptions, how your interview stories, and I absolutely hope that each of you has at least 15 interview stories, and how your skill matrix, all of that it's congruent, it synergizes together. It all comes together so that your focus, your communication, your written, your networking, your interviewing, you know your stories, you know your value proposition, and you feel more confident with each of those pieces. So this is only part of the strategy and tactics. But this is absolutely what got my client $20,000 more. It's what got me my job, helped to communicate my skills, get my job at Lockheed Martin, which was a very nice increase as well. So yes, Marva, great question. The question, I would take parts of these and put them in the graphic for you. Yeah, I love that. Lisa, that's perfect. I want you guys to hear what Lisa's saying here. You can use this to put it on the banner of a graphic. Think about the branding that that would have for you. Oh my God, Lisa, thank you. I'm going to use that from now on.
Shelly, real quick, you have a black square in the middle of your screen. I don't know if everybody else sees that or if it's just me.
Yes, I was reading everything. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Yvette, what was the next question?
About Michael asked about companies doing in-person interviews. If we're going to be going back to that anytime soon.
I have been hearing people are going back to in-person interviews, but Zoom and Skype and video are still by far the most leveraged type of interviews. But for companies, hospitality, retail, IT, etc., I have been hearing about companies going back. So I don't have like a 80% are going back by this day, but I do know that they will still maintain COVID safety precautions. But I do know, in fact, I had 3 clients who had in-person interviews last week, and it was still separated. They started with the mask, the door was open, etc. Hope that answers your question.
And then Becky asked about the best ways to find more about companies' pain points.
Oh, we'll have a conversation around that in a minute, Becky, okay? We're getting a little bit off of topic, and this is only 45 minutes. So, okay, in order to amplify your success, the skill matrix is one way. And I gave this presentation to a telecom and IT private job seeker group about a month ago, and we had a hiring manager in IT that was from Warner Brothers, and he absolutely loved this idea. And he said that this not only helps it helps the hiring manager so much by saying, oh my gosh, they can do this, they can do this, they can do this. And so his response was like, if someone had brought this to me, this would absolutely put that candidate at the top of my choice, because it just makes it so much easier for him and for the leaders to understand the parallels. Okay, so as overall, from a job seeker or a career promotion perspective, in order to continue to amplify that success, you got to have a clear vision. And hopefully that clear vision will be communicated in your skill matrix. That healthy mindset, we've had Lori Barr, we've had Ariel Naftali, you've heard me talk about positive intelligence. If you're at all still feeling stuck, like misaligned, undervalued, and just, I know that there's a couple of you on the phone or online that didn't even have the energy to apply for jobs because the mental fitness piece isn't there, let me know. I can absolutely help. Your strategy, your tactics, this is how you amplify. Amplifying what is great within you through your skill matrix, through your interviews, through your cover letters, will really help accelerate you and help you communicate that, thinking about what limits you. So I want you to all focus and start this Monday in a really positive way, and know that you got to get out of your own way. You got to trust yourself. And by doing a skill matrix, taking the time, I will be honest, the one for Lockheed Martin that was 4 pages probably took me about 5 hours. But I wanted it to be very specific. I wrote thank you letters to each and every person I interviewed with. Now you can do video thank yous. I want to let you know that you've got this. People are interviewing. I know someone that's had interviews with Empower, Evolve, City and County of Denver, HR folks. In fact, one of my clients just got an amazing contract for the next 4 months that will pay so consulting, contracting. You can use this for consulting. You can use this to be part-time, full-time, whatever. If you're interested in getting this guide, go to my website. We're not going to use your email for anything other than Best You Career Advantage and for Colorado Career Connectors. Go ahead and download the 13-page free document. It's 7 steps to amplifying your career. And I hope that that helps you. I absolutely hope that that helps you. Okay. We have, and then Becky, I'm going to take us off and I'm going to answer your questions. This is how you contact me. Our next meetup is going to have the Vice President of Talent from a large retail company and the Director of Recruiting Ops for a well-known technology company. So mark your calendars for July 12th, Monday at noon. We're going to talk about behind the recruitment curtain, the post-pandemic job market. So Mike, I think that answer is going to come for you in 2 weeks when we have the director and a VP of talent to talk about how many interviews are coming online. What does hybrid market look like? How do you find remote jobs? So please mark your calendars for that. We will be getting that up on your Colorado Career Connectors in the next few days. And we also have some amazing speakers coming up in August. So definitely watch out for that. Join my mailing list because we email a lot of really amazing information that will help you in your pursuit to have an abundant career and life. Okay, let me go off of that. Let me start sharing.
Do you have one more question here that I just got from Dina in the chat? She said that you mentioned this may be helpful with a cover letter. Would it be abbreviated as part of the letter or as an attachment like the resume?
It's absolutely abbreviated. That's a beautiful question. You can use the matrix in a very abbreviated way. Skill set, like pick the top 3 or 4 bullet points that they are looking for in the qualifications, and then match those to yours. Position requirements, here's how you align with that. That I would recommend in a written format versus a visual format. Carla, you're in talent. Do you have any comments on what we just talked about? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that you're in this world as well. So I was just wondering from your perspective.
Absolutely. I think this is a great tool, and I have never done it and given it to an employer. But as far as customizing your resume to apply for a role and then preparing for an interview, I think this is a great tool to help you think about how you want to present yourself for that role. And being, and this is just me, being prepared is the best thing that you can do, right? Even if you've done 100 interviews at this point, this will really help you focus in on what are the core competencies that you have that fit that job.
Thank you, Carla. Any of my HR folks want to talk about how they've used the skill matrix or had this help you make choices in the interview process? Becky, Katrina, Alan, anyone?
Well, I think for me, honestly, I think it's very helpful, but I think what helped me more was when I decided to, bust through my ego and engage Chelle to work with me on, going out there, because I was experiencing a lot of negativity with regards to especially age. And, I look in the mirror and I don't think I look 60, but I am, so, life goes on. But it was just like, I needed somebody who could challenge me to be more confident in myself. So when I got on the Zoom call or the person interview, one-on-one interview, I just felt very together and forgot about the age factor or anything like that. So it is good to have a coach. Just want to say.
Thank you, Alan. I'll pay you later for that plug. That's pretty cool. Thank you. Anybody else that's been a hiring manager that has seen this type? John, you just got a role, didn't you? No, I had the wrong John. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back to chat and see what other. Michelle had an in-person interview last week. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, are accomplishments to be used or simply a description of your skills? I would have a bullet point description of your skills. Like if they're asking 10 years of experience, 15 plus years of experience, you want to be very specific and not waste anyone's time. The visual piece I love because it shows the exact alignment of business acumen, adaptability, global flexibility, etc. So you'll have to be the one that chooses. Is it a marketing job, a creative digital marketing, social media, anything creative, innovative? I would definitely use the visual. Any company that might be a little bit more conservative, longer history, not as bleeding edge, if you will, you might want to think about using a written. It just depends on the company. So the style of your communication also is important. And, maybe even ask the recruiter, how does this person like to receive communication? Are they visual? Are they into, like if I were to send in writing, right? So that might also help you understand who your audience is and the best way to do your skill matrix.
Chelle,
Yes.
may I add some nuance to that too? Because I work in government.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a hiring a manager. I work in government, but I have an instructional design team. So I see a lot of people who tailor to a government resume that's very dry, but it doesn't fit to our job, which is very design focused. So I think to your point, getting to know the recruiter, getting to know the team and reading the job description to see if there is creativity in the job itself. Even though the corporation might be dry, doesn't mean that the job is dry.
Claire, I love that. Claire is in talent development, L&D, organizational development. And so if there's a function like that, product development, product management, there's so many ways, even finance, you can bring the visual piece of charts and different ways to look at it. So Claire, thank you. Now, Becky asked the question of how do you find pain points in the company? All right, this is actually the hardest part of the job search or of any piece of what you're going to be doing. The first piece is you have to look at, for example, best places to work. I knew that you would want to know that. Those best places to work, what are they doing for the future? How are they growing for the future? How have they gotten over pain points in COVID in 2020? And pick up on that and say, you know what, as an HR professional, I also have implemented these things. Or have you thought about hybrid model? Have you thought about bringing a holistic mental fitness coach in? Have you thought about, so Lisa asked the question about, what if you found something that they have not communicated? I think that's a very diplomatic way that you can actually go in and talk about that. So I'm answering both questions. Lisa, the way that you talk about that is, I've done a lot of research on your company. I even looked at your financials. I've noticed that this may be a growth point or something that you're struggling with. I just want to talk it out with you and see if my thought or my hypothesis is right. Is this something that you're struggling with? You can ask that question and then the light might go on for them. And if they say no, say, well, I did some research and I've actually solved this issue by. How does that resonate, Lisa? Okay, I can see you shaking your head. So any of you out there, if you're looking at databases, if you're looking at the Wall Street Journal just sent out an article, like 50% of people are going to be looking for a role. The pain points are that those companies aren't going hybrid, or that employees are being demanded to come back too early and they're not ready. If you find a company that is promoting hybrid, promoting remote, you might want to say, I really appreciate that your company is forward thinking and allowing people to have more work-life harmony, and that remote work is highly sought after. So actually compliment them on what they're doing. Okay, Becky, back to your question. I give this example all the time, but in the pandemic, there were two areas that were diminishing: retail, hotels, even talent was diminishing. So one of my clients was the director of catering at the Four Seasons. She didn't want to be in catering anymore. And certainly no one was going to be making high value reservations at one of the most expensive hotels, right? So she's like, Chelle, I want to go into something different. She leveraged all of her skills and Home Advisor, Angie's List. People did have money to fix outdoor things or to have a room. And she actually got a job as a talent acquisition coordinator, making $10,000 more a year than she was before. So the pain point was, Home Advisor was actually looking. I know the whole talent team there. I connected them and it worked out. For the person I spoke to last week, that might be an option that we talk about, and you know who you are. So another example of that is I had a 65-year-old client who had been out of work. She was from oil and gas, and she was like, no one's going to hire me. I'm too old. But her energy and she's like executive director for a big nonprofit here in Denver. Oil and gas, those companies are hemorrhaging. However, they are required by federal law to pay out to landowners who have minerals or natural gas or whatever underneath their property. And oil companies were not focusing on that. She found all of the attorneys that support the oil and gas companies here. She wrote a very specific letter that she and I worked on for probably 3 days. And then she started networking. She found the pain points of the oil and gas companies. Those attorneys started contacting her. She was networking, like, I'm not even kidding, like 7 a week. At the same time, she knew that residential mortgages were decreasing and the mortgage industry was growing. So she started focusing on mortgage title and lending. She got 2 offers in 1 day. She chose the mortgage company and she's already been promoted twice in 7 months. So that is how you find the pain points. Does that help? Does anybody have a question of like, I just can't figure out a pain point, or like, Chelle, what do you think about XYZ? I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Just put yourself out on, you don't have to rate, like, I can't see. Claire, do you have a question? You look like you do. You're on mute.
I'm thinking about, I had a recent interview experience for a director's position, and made it into the second set of interviews, which was the peer interview. So made it past the hiring manager's level and went into the peer level. And then the questions, they seemed redundant, but it's like they changed how they were asking just a little bit. And there was one question that they asked, which was specifically around metrics, and they really went down historicals on what have you done in the past to evaluate training programs, was the question. And I really, the whole time, although I didn't do it, this my lessons learned from me, failing forward, right? Was I answered their question as they asked. But I feel like what I should have done is say, well, but let me talk about how I thought about evaluation for your program, to give them a little insight on things I've looked into for their program. Is that appropriate in an interview context, especially when it's incredibly structured?
What a great example and great question. I would frame up an answer to their specific question so that they get their question answered. But I would also state, I've also done some research and looked at yours, and here's how I would approach it. Or in a follow-up, if there's the question on a 30, 60, 90 day, you can actually state, part of my research shows this is a pain point for you. Here's how I would address that. And Claire, since that was last week, what you could do in your thank you letter was state, here's what I've done with that, but here's what I'm thinking about for you. So you're futuristically thinking and showing them. And I hope this is helping all of you. If you missed a point in the interview, you can put it in your thank you letter to them on, hey, I thought about this question a little bit more, and I'd like to tee up how I've solved that problem. Okay, I'm seeing some people shaking their heads here.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, we only made this for 45 minutes. I am fine to go until 1 o'clock. We really just wanted to focus on the skill matrix as a communication strategy and branding strategy for you. And I actually showed you a page of mine that I used. Okay. Yvette, what else do we have in the chat?
Did you see Marva's question?
I see Marva's question. Yeah. Okay, the question is, wouldn't giving them insight be like giving them free service, since they might use the idea without hiring you? Or is that a risk that you have to take? How many of you have heard of Guild Education? They are a unicorn tech company, education company here in Colorado. They just got valuated at $3.75 billion. Rachel Carlson is their CEO. And I have interviewed there when I was still looking to go back. You have to do a presentation, and without doing that presentation, which answers specific of the questions, they will not consider you. So a lot of people have felt, if you look on Glassdoor, that they're just taking ideas from the interview and leveraging them. Now, I did it. It was for the director of career coaching, right? And so I went in with like a 6 foundational and they loved it. I got to the highest round and then I'm like, no, I don't want to, I made the decision, right? Also, DaVita Healthcare, they do the same thing. Their process takes a really long time, but you have to take the risk. You have to, I've actually said, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to spend 4 to 8 hours doing a presentation where there's like 20 other applicants. You have to make that decision on your own on how badly you want that job and how high the company ranks in your wanting to work for that company. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Marva. This is good. Just any question is fine. We have all these job seekers and no questions. Everything's going perfectly. I see John smiling and shaking his head. Michelle's going like this. For those of you, and Becky's just smiling. A way to get around the information being used by the companies for their gain. Do a cheap copyright, mail it to yourself. Lisa, you are just full of info today. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so there's no other pain points out there. There's no other questions that an executive career coach with 10 minutes that she's just given you can answer for you. But do not open the letter when you get it in the mail. Okay. So what are some pain points that I'm seeing right now? Hospitality, they can't hire fast enough. One of my neighbors is the president of Burger King for Ohio and Colorado. She's like, Shelley, do you know anybody in Lakewood? We pay $16 an hour. I get contacted about HR roles. Oh, thank you. You're actually sharing your own. Companies are hiring, but it's still very competitive. 40 to 50% of those who are working want to move. So it's all about networking. You have to network. You've got to find those pain points. You've got to find those growth points. Built in Colorado, best places to work, free webinars, whether they're in, okay, I do California, Arizona, and Virginia. There's so many free webinars out there. There's other career coaches that give information. And if you are not feeling, I mean, like Alan stated, yes, Alan and I do partner. I'll pay you later, Alan. If you need help, find the right person that can align with you. Your kids have coaches for baseball, tennis, they do club, right? There's coaches for everything. Find one that knows what the hell they're talking about and can help you and brings you value. Okay, there's no other questions. I just can't believe that.
So Shelley,
yes,
this is Becky. I do have just a general question for you. One of the things, so I have been trying to find a job here since last July, or well, the end of June, so a year now. And one of the things that I was told was I had to physically be here. Do you think that's changing at all with more companies that are now going remote? Or do you think that, we did make the move in April and I am getting, I've built the network now. I started really networking in February and I've got a great network now. But I haven't found that the jobs that I've interviewed for, the 2 offers that I've received that I've declined, weren't through networking. And so, I'm trying to, I guess, being physically here, knowing that there are companies that are rethinking their whole remote policies and if they don't have to be in the office, allowing people to stay home. Do you think that that's still something that should be done? I've got a couple people that I met through another group that are not here in Denver wanting to move here and starting their job search so that they can move here. So I'm just trying to gauge how valuable that really is.
I think face-to-face networking interaction and getting hired is the foundation of any, like that relationship piece is part of, that's how they're going to hire you. I do think, and the reason that I was more quiet there, I do think that it's opening up to allow people to work in different locations. I have seen so many opportunities opening up, and the way that you can find them on LinkedIn is just put like human resources remote. They come up beautifully. Talent acquisition leader remote, right? Program manager, finance leader, whatever. But Becky, I still strongly believe that people hire other people that they can resonate with, and that is built through relationships and connection and networking. And so my thought on that, and I would love anybody else to provide their thoughts, is that it's great that you moved here. You have a network now. Start asking for coffees. In fact, Becky, why don't you, I have a couple of ideas. There's a group here in Denver. It's called Rise Collaborative. It's a workspace, and I go in once a week. That is how I meet so many people. As a job seeker, there are amazing, amazing people in co-workspaces. You can do that. I think one of my friends has it for 120 a month, and she has met 2 people who referred her more business, just so you know, as an idea. Okay.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you. I just, as I'm meeting these other people and I'm telling them what my experience was, I'm going, okay, that's my experience. Is that still valid or not?
I believe so. What do other people on the call think?
Was it more value of remote, or the opportunity that remote's going to stay more the course now that COVID's ending?
Remote's going to stay more now that COVID's ending, now that we have the technology. Right. But I still believe that relationships is how you get hired and how you find that hidden network. I was looking at my stats for the past year and how many clients, how many have landed, etc. The majority of them met through, like, hey, for example, I had a comedy night. Several of my clients came to comedy night. Oh, who do you know? Or through this group, for example. Claire, meet Carla. Becky, meet Katrina. John, meet Debbie, right? So it's through these type of networks, more going to be face-to-face. So I hope that answers all of your questions. Okay, really great information, everyone. Use the skill matrix. Think job description, resume. You can use it for your LinkedIn skills and endorsements, your cover letter on a very abbreviated 1-page document during the interview process, during the negotiation process. It's probably one of the #1 tools that I hear from hiring leaders and from candidates that gets them further in the interview process. All right, I'm going to get going. Thank you so much for joining me today. On July 12th, noon to 1, we have the Vice President of Talent Acquisition from a major retail company, and also the Director of Recruitment Operations from a technology company to talk about the post-pandemic job market behind the recruitment curtain. In August, we have some amazing speakers coming. Don't forget to look at your email. We have some offers coming out that you or someone you know might need. And please go to my website, subscribe to the freebie, that 13-page step-by-step guide. It gives you questions to ask yourself. It gives you lots of thoughts and data on what to do. I hope that it helps you, and I hope that Colorado Career Connectors continues to grow. And we can only do that by word of mouth and your help in getting people to us. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great to see you. Bye.
Bye, Shelley. Have a great week.
Thank you. Michelle, you know what I was talking about? So contact me. I know you know what I was talking about. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, see ya.